You're invited to listen to a story. Moments after receiving the 4 key fobs to my new home, my husband's family divided them amongst themselves. I remained silent. A week later, as they excitedly arrived to move in, they were frozen in shock by the court-ordered seal affixed to the door. The autumn wind from Lake Michigan whipped through the unsealed gap in the window pane, carrying the first chill of the season and the distant scent of roasted nuts from a downtown street vendor. I stood silently on my 40th floor balcony, my hands gripping the cold metal railing. My gaze was fixed on the glittering expanse of the Chicago skyline lighting up below, but my mind was adrift in the difficult years that had brought me here. Before me was a luxury condo in a new glass tower in the South Loop, a place that just days ago was a distant dream, a burning desire I had paid for with my youth, sweat, and tears. This was my home. A spacious 3-bedroom apartment with a light-filled living room and a modern open-concept kitchen. Its price tag was $800,000. It was a staggering sum for any salaried professional and an even heavier burden for a woman from a small town trying to make it in the big city like me. To get to this day, I had pinched every penny. For 7 years, I never dared to buy myself a designer handbag, never took an extravagant vacation. Even my weekday lunches were leftovers brought from home in a Tupperware container to save $15 a day. I remembered last night's call with my parents. My father's voice trembled over the phone when he heard I had finalized the closing and the deed was in my name. My parents, blue-collar folks from a small town in Ohio, had sold the last parcel of inherited land and gathered all their retirement savings, $150,000, to send to me. Dad said they had endured enough hardship in their lives. Their only wish was for their daughter to have a roof over her head, a place of her own where she wouldn't have to answer to a landlord. That $150,000 combined with my entire life savings and a bank loan solely in my name was just enough to buy this condo. Not a single cent came from my husband's family. Kevin, my husband, walked up beside me and draped an arm over my shoulder. A wide smile spread across his handsome but somewhat boyish face, belying his 35 years. He looked around the empty living room, his voice filled with excitement. "See, Maya, we finally have our own place in Chicago. My buddies are going to be so jealous when they hear about this. Imagine watching the 4th of July fireworks from here with a cold beer. It'll be the best view in the city." I turned to look at my husband. In his eyes, there was only simple joy, an innocent, almost careless sense of entitlement. He made no mention of the countless sleepless nights I'd spent working on extra projects, nor the fact that my parents had sacrificed their largest asset. To Kevin, this condo was like a gift that had fallen from the sky, effortless and expected. Kevin was a kind, good-natured man, but that kindness was coupled with a deep-seated weakness and a lifelong habit of depending on his mother. He worked a low-level job for the city, his paycheck just enough to cover his own gas and coffee. He couldn't dream of shouldering the family's finances, let alone buying a property worth nearly $1 million. "Honey," I began gently, trying to preempt any future issues. "We're having dinner with your family tonight. Please remember what I told you. This condo was my responsibility with my parents' help. Please don't say anything that might make your mom think it was bought with our joint money. I don't want any trouble down the road." Kevin waved a dismissive hand, laughing. "You worry too much. Mom's an adult. She gets it. Besides, my wife's house is my husband's house. It belongs to both of us. Why draw lines and make things awkward? Today's a happy day. Come on, give me a smile." His words, "My wife's house is my husband's house," sent a wave of unease through me. I wasn't a petty person, but I knew my mother-in-law, Carol, all too well. She was a sharp, domineering woman who needed to control everything and everyone around her. She had always believed her son was a prize, and I was just the lucky woman who got to marry him. Since the day I married into the family, she had never stopped scrutinizing me or meddling in our lives. In her eyes, the fact that I could buy this condo wasn't a testament to my hard work, but rather a stroke of luck for the Smith family name. I sighed, pushing my anxiety down. Today was the closing, a monumental day. I didn't want to spoil the mood with unsubstantiated suspicions. I adjusted the collar of Kevin's shirt and forced a smile, though my eyes still held a trace of worry. Okay, you're right. Let's go or your mom and everyone will be waiting. We left the apartment, locking the door behind us. The click of the lock echoed in the empty, silent hallway. I clutched my purse, feeling the weight of the folder containing the deed and all the legal documents. These weren't just papers. They were my livelihood, my self-respect. I promised myself that no matter what happened, I would protect this home with everything I had. But I could never have imagined that the biggest storm wouldn't come from debt or work pressure, but from the very people I called family at dinner that night. The steakhouse was an upscale establishment in the heart of River North, famous for its prime cuts and opulent old-world decor. The light from crystal chandeliers sparkled off the polished silverware, creating a scene of overwhelming luxury. I had booked a private room to ensure we could talk freely, but the moment I stepped inside, I felt a suffocating tension. Carol sat at the head of the table, her back ramrod straight. Her carefully applied makeup gave her an air of authority, the look of someone accustomed to giving orders. Beside her was Frank, my father-in-law, a man who had spent his life nodding silently in agreement with his wife's every decision. And of course, there was Jessica, Kevin's precious younger sister, scrolling through her phone with a condescending smirk while her 5-year-old son, Brayden, banged a spoon against the table. "Hi, Mom." "Dad, hi, Jessica," I said, offering a polite smile. Carol looked up, her sharp eyes scanning my simple work dress before settling on Kevin. She didn't respond to me, instead turning to scold her son. "What took you so long? The whole family has been sitting here starving for an hour waiting for you too." "Sorry, Mom." "The traffic was terrible," Kevin explained hastily, pulling out a chair for me. "And we were just admiring the new place a little longer." All right. Let's order," Jessica chimed in, her voice dripping with sarcastic sweetness. "Maya's treating us to celebrate the new place, so we have to order the best. It's not every day you get a big fancy condo." Her hands were already flipping through the menu, pointing at the most expensive items like the lobster tail and the tomahawk steak. I silently signaled the waiter to take the order, a pang of regret hitting me as I thought about the bill. But for Kevin's sake, I swallowed my frustration. Once the food arrived and the wine was poured, Carol began her customary speech. She raised her glass, clearing her throat to command everyone's attention. "Today is a joyous day for our family. Kevin and Maya have bought a luxury high-rise condo. I am so proud. Even though the deed is in Maya's name, at the end of the day, a daughter-in-law is family. The fact that she can earn this kind of money is a blessing that comes from the good fortune of the Smith family." Her words made my stomach turn. The good fortune of the Smith family. While I was working day and night, they never once called to check on me. When I was short on the down payment, I asked to borrow some money, but she claimed they had none, having given it all to Jessica for a new car. Now that the condo was bought and paid for, she was claiming it as her family's blessing. I gripped my water glass, trying to contain my anger. She wasn't finished. Carol's tone shifted to something more practical and calculating. "I hear the condo has 3 bedrooms. It's a waste for just the 2 of you to have 2 empty rooms. I've been thinking Jessica is planning to enroll Brayden in that top-rated elementary school right near your new building, but their house is all the way out in Neepville, and the commute would be a nightmare for the little guy. So, I've decided that Jessica and Brayden will move into one of the rooms at your new place. It'll be convenient for his schooling, and it's always nice to have family close by." I was stunned. The fork in my hand nearly clattered to the plate. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This wasn't a request or a discussion. It was a decree, a blatant imposition on my property. Jessica immediately backed her mother up, her mouth full of lobster. "That's right, Maya. You don't have any kids yet, so what are you going to do with all that space? If I move in, I can even help you with the housework. You'll come home from work to a cooked meal. It's a great deal for you. And just so you know, I'm calling dibs on the southeast-facing bedroom. It has the best energy for my finances. It'll bring me prosperity." Rage flushed my face. Not only did she want to live there for free, but she was also demanding a specific room based on its energy. The home I had bought with my own blood, sweat, and tears. A place I hadn't even spent a single night in was already being carved up like a Thanksgiving turkey. I shot a desperate look at Kevin, hoping he would say something to defend me, to protect our private space. But he just stared down at his plate, avoiding my pleading eyes. He mumbled, "Mom, let's talk about this later. We just got the place. We haven't even bought any furniture yet. What is there to talk about later?" Carol slammed her hand on the table, making the wine glasses jump. "Are you going to let your nephew commute an hour and a half each way every day? You're his uncle. Don't you care about him? The place is huge. Are you just going to let ghosts live in the spare rooms?" "I've made my decision. There's no more discussion. This Sunday, we're all moving in. The timing is perfect." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice as steady as possible to avoid a public scene. "Mom, I think we need to reconsider this. I bought this home so my husband and I could have our own space to start planning for a family of our own. Besides, I often have to work late from home and need quiet. Jessica has her own family, her own husband. Having them live with us would be inconvenient for everyone." Carol glared at me, her eyes burning with fury. "Oh, so now you have wings and you think you're too good for your husband's family? Is that it? You're just afraid of having to feed your sister-in-law? Let me tell you something. When you marry a man, you marry his family. Once he stepped into our family, everything of yours became ours. Don't you dare be so selfish and petty. I'm still alive and breathing, and you have the audacity to argue with my decision." Her shouts silenced the room. Diners at nearby tables started to glance over, whispering. I felt my face burn with a mixture of shame and anger. Kevin finally looked up, tugging at my sleeve. "Come on, Maya, just let it go," he whispered. "We're in public. We can talk about it at home. Let it go." Again, for 3 years of marriage, the phrase I heard most from my husband was, "Let it go." But this time, my patience had reached its absolute limit. However, I knew that arguing with Carol now would only hurt me. I needed a different plan. A counterattack more powerful than words that would simply blow away in the wind. I silently picked up my food, unable to swallow a bite. The celebration for my new home had turned into a foul banquet of greed where human avarice was on full naked display. The meal ended in a heavy, awkward silence. I paid the bill, nearly $500, my heart aching, but my face a mask of indifference. Afterward, the entire family drove from the restaurant to the condo building for the official key handover. Carol insisted on coming, afraid that if she didn't stake her claim immediately, I would somehow make the condo disappear. In the building's lobby, the manager, David, was waiting for us, dressed in a sharp suit and holding a large envelope. Seeing me, he smiled professionally. "Congratulations on your new home, Miss Garcia. Here is your set of key fobs, access cards for the elevator, and resident IDs for Unit 406. Please check them and sign the handover receipt." Just as I reached for the envelope, another hand shot out and snatched it away. It was Carol. She ripped the envelope from the manager's grasp before I or he could even react. She chuckled, completely oblivious to how rude and inappropriate her actions were. Let me. I'm her mother-in-law. It's the same as her holding them." "Thank you, Mr. Manager." David gave me an awkward look, but seeing that I wasn't making a scene in reality, I was too stunned to speak. He simply stepped back. Right there in the lobby, Carol opened the envelope and dumped the shiny key fobs and plastic cards onto the marble reception desk. "All right, let's see. 4 sets of keys. Perfect. Just the right amount." She began to distribute them like a general doling out the spoils of war. She picked up the first FB and handed it to her precious daughter. "Jessica, you take this one. It'll be easier for you to pick up and drop off Brayden. You can come and go as you please without waiting for anyone." Jessica took it glibly, immediately adding it to her car keyring and dangling it in front of my face with a provocative little jingle. Carol gave the second fob to Frank. "You take one, dear. You can come up here to water the plants and enjoy the view whenever you're bored of being at home. Time to enjoy your retirement with the children and grandchildren." Frank nodded carefully, placing the key fob in his breast pocket. Next, she took the third fob and tucked it into her own handbag. "And this one is for me. I need a key so I can come up and check on things, clean up, and cook for you kids." Maya works all day and she's useless in the kitchen. Without me, this place would turn into a pigsty in no time. Only one key fob remained on the desk. My heart pounded. I thought at the very least she would give that one to me, the legal owner of the home. But no. She picked up the last key fob and pressed it into Kevin's hand. And this one is for my son. You are the man of the house, the head of this family. You hold the main key. Keep it safe and don't lose it. I stood frozen, my hands hanging limp at my sides, a chill running down my spine. All 4 key fobs had been distributed. What they didn't know was that before the official handover, the building manager had discreetly given me a spare maintenance fob. This wasn't just an oversight. It was a public humiliation, a clear declaration of war, telling me that in their eyes, I was nothing more than a money-making machine, an outsider with no rights to her own property. I looked at Kevin, my eyes blazing with fury. He held the key fob, his face pale. He understood how terrible the situation was. "Mom," he stammered. "Why? Why did you do that? What about Maya?" "My wife." Carol waved her hand nonchalantly, as if discussing the weather. "What's wrong with you? Your wife is with you. You open the door for her. It's that simple. Or I can let her in when I come over. She's a woman. Why does she need to carry keys around? It just weighs down her purse. What if she loses it? We'd have to pay to change the locks." I laughed. A bitter, cold laugh. Her logic was so absurd it was almost frightening. I took a step forward, my voice clear and steady, all traces of difference gone. "Mom, I think you're fundamentally mistaken about something. This condo is in my name. The money to buy it came from me and my parents. The decision of who holds the keys should have been mine. By dividing them up like this, are you showing me any respect at all?" The atmosphere in the lobby froze. The security guards and receptionists pretended to be busy, but were clearly listening in. Carol was momentarily stunned, then immediately bristled. "What did you say? You dare say I don't respect you? I am your mother-in-law. I'm looking out for this home. That's why I need to manage things. You think because you have a little money, you can lecture me now? So, what if the deed is in your name? You're Kevin's wife. What belongs to the husband belongs to the wife and vice versa. I gave the keys to my son and my daughter, their family. What's the big deal? Why are you being so calculating with your own family? Seriously, Maya, you need to chill." Jessica chimed in, her voice shrill. "It's just a key fob, not a bar of gold. If you don't have one, just go with Kevin. It's not going to kill you. Why are you making such a scene?" I looked at the 3 of them, the greedy mother-in-law, the selfish sister-in-law, and my weak husband, who stood with his head bowed in silence. I realized then that any further argument was pointless. They had no concept of ownership or respect. Their minds were wired only for possession and exploitation. "I'm not going to argue anymore," I said, taking a deep breath to regain a terrifying calm. "Fine. If you want to hold the keys, then hold them. I have nothing more to say." I turned and walked straight out of the building without a backward glance. In my mind, a ruthless but fair plan was beginning to take shape. If they wanted to play this game of capture the flag, I would show them who truly controlled the board. The physical keys in their hands would soon become nothing more than useless pieces of plastic. The elevator shot up to the 40th floor, the speed creating a slight pressure in my ears. Inside the cramped stainless steel cabin, 5 people stood in absolute silence. The quiet was thick and suffocating, heavier than the air before a thunderstorm. I stood in the corner, my arms crossed, staring at the floor, numbers flashing by. My reflection in the mirrored walls showed the triumphant faces of Carol and Jessica and Kevin's miserable, furtive expression. Ding! The elevator doors opened onto a wide-carpeted and climate-controlled hallway. Carol marched ahead, her gait as proud as a general inspecting newly conquered territory. "See, this is what a luxury building is supposed to be like. Clean, fresh-smelling, not like that dumpy little street we live on. Always smelling like garbage." She chattered on, brandishing the key fobs she had just confiscated. When we reached Unit 406, Kevin fumbled with the key fob. The light on the lock turned green, and with a click, the door opened. The whole family swarmed inside like a hive of bees. The apartment was empty, But the vast open space and the stunning panoramic view of the city were still breathtaking. The warm, dark-toned engineered hardwood floors, the sophisticated cream-colored walls. This was the fruit of my labor. This was the place where I had pictured myself reading by the window, cooking delicious meals with my husband. But now, the thudding footsteps and loud, boisterous voices of his family were trampling all over that peaceful dream. Jessica ran straight into the largest bedroom, the master suite, with its own bathroom. "Oh my God, Mom. This room is huge. And look at that view. But you know, this one has a private bathroom, so I'll let my brother and his wife have it. I'll take the one next door." She then skewered to the second bedroom. The one with the southeast-facing window. "Here it is. Perfect energy for Brayden. Maya, remember to call a carpenter tomorrow to get a bunk bed measured and installed for me. Oh, and make sure you buy memory foam mattresses. The boy gets back hacks from Spring Mattresses." I leaned against the doorframe, watching her issue commands as if I were her personal assistant. I didn't reply, just offered a faint, empty smile. I didn't need to argue about mattresses or bunk beds because she would never get the chance to sleep in one. Meanwhile, Carol was inspecting the kitchen. She tapped her fingers on the quartz countertop and pursed her lips. "This induction cooktop looks modern, but it's so picky with pots. Tomorrow you'll need to buy a new set of high-end German cookware and the refrigerator. Get one of those big two-door ones. That way I can bring food up from home to store. I saw a really nice one at my neighbor's house. It has an automatic ice maker. Look for that model." They so casually divided up the space. So naturally made demands, treating my bank account like a bottomless well. They seemed to have forgotten that just moments ago they had stripped me of my right to hold a key to my own home, humiliating me in front of a stranger. Kevin came over and gently touched my arm. His hand was cold and clammy. "What do you think of the place, Maya? It's beautiful, isn't it?" He tried to make small talk, his voice painfully strained. I pulled my arm away. "The house is beautiful," I said coolly. "It's a shame it's not for people who don't know their place." Kevin flinched, glancing around to see if his mother had heard. "Keep your voice down. She'll cause a scene. Don't mind Mom and Jessica. They're just blunt. They don't mean any harm." "Blunt?" I turned to look him straight in the eye. "Is snatching keys blunt? Is picking out the best rooms and demanding the most expensive furniture blunt? Kevin, you're 35 years old. Stop being as naive as a 3-year-old. Either you're truly that naive or you're complicit with them in bullying me." Kevin was speechless, his face turning red. He couldn't meet the cold fury in my eyes. "Okay, fine. We'll talk at home. This isn't the place." He dodged the confrontation again, turning to join his mother in a discussion about where to put the washing machine. I stood there alone in my own home. My silence was no longer a sign of patient endurance. It was the silence of a time bomb counting down. I observed their every action, their every word, engraving it all into my memory. Every unreasonable demand, every shameless intrusion would now serve as damning evidence, both in the court of conscience and later in a court of law. I took out my phone and discreetly snapped a photo of them standing in the middle of the room, pointing and planning. Then I sent a short text to Mark, an old college friend and a lawyer I had already consulted with. "Mark, I've made my decision. We're moving forward with Plan B. As soon as possible." Message sent. I put my phone away. The real battle had just begun. We left the new apartment when the clock struck 10. Carol and Jessica took a cab to Jessica's house in the suburbs, while Kevin and I rode his scooter back to our cramped rental apartment in Logan Square. On the ride back, the night wind slapped my face, but it was nothing compared to the chill in my heart. I sat behind him, keeping my distance, my arms not wrapped around his waist, as they usually were. Back at the apartment, the suffocating atmosphere returned. Kevin busied himself taking off his shoes and hanging his jacket, trying to create a sense of normalcy to diffuse the tension, but I gave him no such escape. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at him. "We need to talk seriously," Kevin sighed, slumping into a plastic chair opposite me, his face weary. "I know you're mad about the keys, but you have to understand my position. My parents and my sister were there. How could I argue with my mom? She's getting older. She's moody. As her son, I just have to humor her a bit to keep the peace. Humor her? I let out a sharp, dry laugh. You call your mother robbing your wife of her property rights being moody? You call her giving away parts of our home to your sister humoring her? Kevin, do you have any self-respect? Kevin's face hardened, his voice turning defensive. Why do you have to blow everything out of proportion? Mom is holding the keys to help us clean up and take care of the place. She's not going to steal the condo from you. So, what are you afraid of? The deed is in your name. No one can take it from you. And Jessica is just staying for a while to help with her son's schooling. It's normal for family to help each other out. Stop being so selfish. You have to learn to give and take. Selfish. I shot to my feet, my anger erupting, but my voice remained icily controlled. Kevin, listen to me very carefully. That condo cost $800,000. My parents sold their ancestral land to give me $150,000. I have worked my fingers to the bone for 7 years, skipping meals and luxuries to pay for it. What has your family contributed? Not a dime. And now your mother acts like it's her family's property, graciously allowing me to live there. And you, my husband, you were supposed to stand by me to protect my legal rights. But you didn't. You were a coward. You were weak. You stood by and let your mother humiliate me in public. Kevin stood up and pointed a finger at my face. You dare call your husband a coward? I've had enough of your attitude. Just because you have some money now, you think you can look down on my family? My mother was right about you. When a wife controls the finances, she walks all over her husband. I am not walking over anyone, I retorted, slapping his hand away. I am demanding basic fairness. You said your key was also my key, right? Then why didn't you give it to me? Why did you have to wait for your mother's permission just to hold it? You are not the head of this family, Kevin. You are just your mother's puppet. He was cornered with no argument left. He ran his hands through his hair in frustration, then slammed the bathroom door shut, escaping the conversation as he always did. I'm not arguing with you anymore. Think whatever you want. I'm going to bed. We have work tomorrow. I stared at the closed bathroom door, utterly disappointed. The last glimmer of hope that Kevin would understand and stand with me was completely extinguished. He would never change. He was too comfortable in the cocoon of his mother's control. If I continued this marriage, if I let them step foot into that new condo, my life would become a living hell. I would be a servant to my lazy sister-in-law, a target for my mother-in-law's scrutiny, and a provider for a useless husband. No, I would not accept that fate. I walked over to the small safe in the corner of the room. I spun the dial and the door clicked open. Inside were the most important documents of my life. The notarized purchase agreement for the condo, the bank transfer receipts, and most importantly, the notarized gift letter my parents had insisted I get when they transferred the money. At the time, I thought they were being overly cautious, afraid of hurting Kevin's pride. Now I saw how wise they had been. I took the entire file and placed it in my work bag. Tomorrow, I wouldn't be going to work as usual. I would be going to a lawyer's office. If they wanted to play a game of appropriation, I would use the law to teach them a lesson about ownership. Tonight would be the last night I cried over this man. From tomorrow on, I would fight only for myself. Outside, rain began to fall. A rain that washed away my illusions of a happy family, but watered the seeds of determination that were now sprouting fiercely within me. The rain pattered monotonously on the roof, a dreary rhythm in the dead of night. I couldn't sleep. The dim light from my desk lamp illuminated the document spread across the cheap particle board table. It was 2 a.m. But my mind was unusually clear, a cold clarity forged from pain and betrayal. I went through each page, a highlighter in my hand, carefully marking the important details. First, the purchase agreement. My name, Maya Garcia, was listed alone and independent under the buyer section. Kevin's name was nowhere to be found. I remembered the day I signed it 2 months ago. Kevin was busy having drinks with friends. He told me to go ahead and sign it myself since it was my money anyway. Why should I come? It's just a waste of time, he had said. At the time, I felt a pang of sadness at his indifference. Now that same indifference was my lifeline. Because he wasn't present and made no financial contribution, my sole ownership was straightforward, requiring no spousal waiver. Next was the stack of bank statements. I had printed out 3 years of detailed transaction histories. The transfers from my salary account to my savings account, and then from my savings directly to the developer account. Every transaction was clear, transparent, and matched down to the last cent. And most importantly, the single sheet of paper protected in a plastic sleeve, the notarized gift letter. When my parents sold their land, they insisted I go to a local notary to have this document drawn up. A gift can be a blessing or it can be a burden. Honey, my father's words echoed in my ears. We're giving you this money for your security, but people can be unpredictable. Let's just make it official so you're never at a disadvantage. I had dismissed it as my parents being overly worried, but my father, with the hard-earned wisdom of an old soldier, stood firm. He was right. The letter explicitly stated that the $150,000 was a personal gift to his daughter Maya Garcia for the purchase of a home and was not to be considered marital property. I organized everything into a black portfolio and locked it. This would be my arsenal. No more useless arguments, no more weak tears. I would fight with evidence and with the law. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. Kevin was still fast asleep, his steady snores filling the room. I looked at his face one last time with empty eyes. I made a simple breakfast and left a note on the table. Left early for work. Breakfast is on the counter. See you tonight. A note as normal as any other day, but it marked the end of the naive, submissive wife I once was. I didn't go to the office. I texted my boss requesting a personal day for an urgent family matter. My scooter weaved through the bustling Chicago morning traffic, heading straight for the loop where the law firm of Mark Davis and Associates was located. Mark's office was on the 7th floor of a modern office building. The space was quiet and professional with shelves of thick law books lining the glass walls. Mark, my old college friend, was now a respected attorney specializing in family law. He greeted me with a firm handshake and a sympathetic look. Sit down, Maya. You look exhausted. Let me get you some hot tea. I took a sip, the warmth spreading through my chest, calming my nerves. I opened the portfolio and pushed the documents across the desk to him. I'm not going to beat around the bush, Mark. I want a divorce, and more importantly, I need to secure the condo before his family moves in. Mark reviewed the file, nodding thoughtfully. Your documentation is rock solid, Maya. The property was acquired with separate funds, and you have clear proof. The fact that you're the sole name on the deed is a huge advantage. Normally, assets acquired during a marriage can be considered marital property, but with these bank statements and the gift letter, I'm confident the court will rule it as your separate property. The problem is they're planning to move in this Sunday, I said, my voice trembling slightly. My mother-in-law has already given keys to the whole family. If they establish residency, getting them out will be complicated and time-consuming. I don't want a drawn-out battle. Mark paused, tapping his pen on the desk. You're right. Once they're in, it becomes a tenancy issue and immediate removal is difficult. We need to act preemptively. I propose we file for an emergency temporary restraining order. A restraining order? Yes. We'll file for divorce at the county courthouse today. Simultaneously, we'll file a motion asking the court to issue an emergency order to seal the property under dispute. The legal grounds are the risk of them damaging or altering the asset. Once the court approves it, a sheriff's deputy will go to the property and officially seal it. Anyone who breaks that seal is committing a criminal offense. This will legally bar your husband's family from setting foot inside. It's the most aggressive move, but in this situation, it's the most effective. Listening to Mark was like a breath of fresh air. This was exactly what I needed. A legal iron wall to stop my in-laws' greed. Do it, Mark. Draft whatever you need. I'll sign it right now. I don't care about the cost. I'll have my paralegal draft the petition immediately. You can sign it this afternoon, and I'll go with you to file it myself. We'll request an expedited hearing due to the urgency. I looked at Mark overwhelmed with gratitude. At my most desperate moment, the support of a friend and a legal expert was an invaluable lifeline. Leaving the law office, I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. The Chicago sky even seemed a little less gray. I knew the road ahead would be tough, but at least now I had a map and a weapon. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. Mother-in-law flashed on the screen. I took a deep breath, composed myself, and answered, "Hello, Mom. It's Maya." "Maya, what are you doing?" "Listen, I need you to leave work early and meet me at the Croton Barrel on Michigan Avenue. I found the most beautiful imported Italian leather sofa. It's a bit pricey, but so elegant. Bring your credit card. They're having a sale if you pay in full today." Carol's voice was sharp and excited. I clenched the phone. She not only wanted my house, but she also wanted me to furnish it for her family's enjoyment. An Italian leather sofa could cost thousands while I was still deep in mortgage debt. "Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm stuck in a critical project meeting. I probably won't be home until late. Why don't you send me a picture of the one you like? And money's a little tight right now after the final payment on the condo." "Tight? What do you mean tight? You're a project director making a 6-figure salary. Don't be so cheap with your own family." "Fine, I'll have Jessica go with me, but you'd better figure out the money. When we move in on Sunday, the house needs to be properly furnished for guests." Before I could reply, she hung up. I laughed bitterly. In their eyes, I was nothing but a walking ATM. A moment later, a flood of texts came from Jessica. She sent me links to children's bunk beds, smart desks, and expensive memory foam mattresses. "Maya, I've decided on this bunk bed for Brayden. The blue color is perfect for him. Can you order it now so it arrives before Sunday? Also, the guest bathroom is a bit plain. You should buy one of those cedar soaking tubs. It would be so relaxing." I read the messages and had to laugh at the sheer pathological delusion. They were living in a fantasy world, planning a life of luxury built on my back. They decorated and arranged my home in their minds as if it had been theirs all along. That evening, when I got back to the apartment, Kevin was watching TV, looking pleased. "You're home," Mom called. She put a deposit down on the sofa. "She needs you to transfer $6,000 to the store to hold it. She has great taste. Picked out all the best stuff." I looked at him, my disgust palpable. "Do you have $6,000, Kevin?" "Of course not. Where would I get that kind of money? I give you my whole paycheck, remember? You manage the finances, so you have to. Take care of it," he replied matter-of-factly. "Then tell your mother to pay for it herself." "I'm out of money," I said coldly, walking into the kitchen. Kevin followed me, his voice rising. "There you go again with that attitude. It's a few thousand. Why are you being so difficult with Mom? A new house needs nice furniture. If you don't transfer the money, how is she going to face the people at the store? That's her problem, her pride, her responsibility." I refused to argue further and closed the bathroom door. I could hear Kevin muttering curses outside. I turned the faucet on full blast, letting the cold water splash on my face, washing away the exhaustion. Let them live in their fantasy for a few more days. The higher they climbed, the harder they would fall. After the argument that night, I changed my strategy. I realized that direct confrontation would only make them suspicious, and they might try to move in earlier. I needed them to let their guard down. I needed them to believe I had surrendered. On Thursday morning, I sent Kevin a text. "Tell your mom I managed to pull some money together. I'll transfer the deposit for the sofa this afternoon. Everyone can relax and get ready for the move." Kevin called me immediately, his voice jubilant. "That's my girl. I knew you loved me and my parents. I'll give you a nice back rub tonight." I stifled a sigh and replied with fake sweetness. "Okay, honey. I have to get back to work. Remind your mom to pack everything carefully." Of course, I transferred no money. I used a photo editing app to create a fake wire transfer confirmation and sent it to Carol so she would have peace of mind. She responded with a big thumbs up emoji and a voice message. Now that's a good, beautiful daughter-in-law. On Sunday, I'll cook a huge feast to bless the new home. For the next few days, I played the part of the obedient, submissive wife. I called the utility companies to set up the electricity and water. I arranged for internet installation. I paid the first 3 months of the homeowners association fees. I did all these small tasks and sent the receipts to Kevin as proof. He became more convinced than ever that I had accepted his family's arrangements. "See, when husband and wife are on the same page, we can do anything," he said, hugging me on Friday night. "Mom is so happy. She keeps saying how sensible you've become. Once we're all living together, if you just stay this agreeable, our home will always be filled with laughter. I lay in his arms, my heart cold as ice. I was smiling, but it was the smile of a hunter watching its prey walk into a trap. Of course, as long as you and your parents are happy, I whispered. In the darkness, my eyes were wide open. I had already been quietly packing my personal belongings. My valuable clothes, jewelry, and important keepsakes had been secretly moved to a close friend's house the day before. The closet in our rental now held only a few old outfits. I was ready for my departure. I had also contacted the building management, specifically David. I briefly explained the ownership dispute and requested their cooperation when the authorities arrived. David was an understanding man. He nodded and promised to provide support and ensure security. This play was about to reach its finale, and I was the director of its shocking conclusion. Saturday morning, the rental apartment was buzzing with activity. Kevin was up early, whistling as he ironed his clothes. Maya, Mom just called. The psychic she consulted said 9 a.m. tomorrow is the most auspicious time of the month. The whole family is leaving their place at 7 to get there right on time. You be ready. Okay. Yes, I know. I already took Monday off work to help everyone unpack, I replied, pretending to fold clothes and put them in a suitcase. Perfect. Hey, where's my key fob? I have to be the first one to open the door tomorrow to bring in good luck. Kevin rummaged through a drawer. It's on top of the fridge, I said, pointing. He found it, gave it a little kiss, and tucked it safely into his pocket. He had no idea that thanks to the spare fob I had kept, I had already snuck into the condo last night while he was out drinking and had a locksmith re-key the electronic lock. The fob he was holding, along with the ones Carol and Jessica had, were now just inert pieces of plastic. They would open nothing. My phone vibrated. A text from Mark, my lawyer. It's done. The judge signed the order. The sheriff's deputy and a process server will be at the condo lobby at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. Prepare yourself. I texted back. Thank you. I'm ready. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with anticipation. I looked at Kevin, who was on the phone, boasting to his friends about moving into his new home. He excitedly described the million-dollar view, the Italian furniture, the high life that awaited him. Hey man, you got to come over tomorrow. Housewarming party. Yeah, the place is huge. Plenty of room for everyone. I felt a sliver of pity for him. He was living in a delusion right up to the very end. His naivety and weakness were what had killed my love for him. Tomorrow, when that door refused to open, the door to our marriage would close forever. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. I listened to the wind howl outside the window, signaling an approaching storm. Tomorrow would be a long day, a fateful day that would change my life and teach the Smith family a lesson they would never forget about boundaries, greed, and respect. I closed my eyes, picturing the scene. There would be tears, there would be curses, there would be devastation. But from those ashes, I would find myself again, a strong, independent, and free Maya Garcia. The final hours of Saturday passed in a strange atmosphere. Kevin was euphoric, while I was as calm and still as the surface of a deep lake. After dinner, he brought out several small bonsai trees he had just bought and began trimming them in the middle of the room. Look at these, Maya. These little juniper trees will look so classy on our new balcony. Dad said he's bringing up some of his orchids, too. Our place will be like a hanging garden in no time. I sat on the bed, staring at my phone, but reading nothing. My mind was rehearsing the script for the next day. Maya, are you okay? You've been so quiet all evening. Are you nervous? Kevin stopped his trimming and looked up. I snapped out of my reverie quickly, hiding the coldness in my eyes. Yeah, I'm just a little tired. Been busy with all the packing and planning. Well, you should get some sleep. We have to be up early to meet my parents. And remember to tell the landlord we're moving out tomorrow. I already paid the movers to come by in the morning to pick up these last few boxes. I nodded. Kevin had unknowingly cut off his own line of retreat. He had terminated our lease, sold off our old furniture, and pinned all his hopes on that condo. If he couldn't get in tomorrow, we would literally be on the street. That night, lying next to him, I could hear his steady breathing. In his dreams, he was surely the master of a luxury apartment, praised by his mother, admired by his friends. As for me, I stared wide-eyed at the water-stained ceiling. I felt no guilt. Any pity I had for Kevin had evaporated the moment he silently watched his mother take my keys. I turned my back to him. This was the last night I would lie beside this man as his wife. When the sun rose, everything would come crashing down. And from that wreckage, I would have to pick myself up alone. At 7 a.m., the alarm on Kevin's phone blared a loud, obnoxious rock song. He shot up like a spring, his face beaming like a child on Christmas morning. Wake up, sleepyhead. The big day is here. Hurry up or we'll miss the auspicious hour. I dragged myself out of bed, my head aching from a sleepless night. I splashed cold water on my face in the bathroom, trying to shock myself into alertness. Looking in the mirror, I saw a stranger, a woman with dark circles under her eyes, but whose gaze was cold and resolute. I applied a swipe of bold red lipstick, a color Kevin always said was too aggressive. Today, I needed to be aggressive. Kevin put on his best outfit, a crisp white shirt and pressed black slacks. He carefully styled his hair and even put on cologne. Wear this dress, he said, holding out a blue one he liked. The color will bring us good luck. I pushed it aside and chose a professional black pantsuit. I'm wearing this. It's more practical for moving. We're not going to a wedding. Kevin looked a little disappointed, but didn't argue. Afraid of being late, we loaded the last few bags onto a scooter. The rental apartment was now completely empty, leaving behind only dusty outlines on the walls where furniture used to be. I handed the keys to the landlord, silently bidding farewell to my old, difficult life. On the way, Kevin sang off-key. The Chicago sky was overcast with dark clouds hanging low. A strong wind kicked up dust from the street. Lousy weather, huh? But who cares? The important thing is that we're happy, he shouted over the wind. I sat behind him, silent. Happy. We'll see how happy you are in an hour. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A text from Carol. We're about halfway there. The movers are on their way, too. Should arrive at the same time. You two get there early and open up. I replied with a single curt word. Okay. The scooter sped on, carrying us closer to Kevin's dream home and to the final judgment of our marriage. At 8:30 a.m., we arrived at the condo building. The scene in front of the entrance was both comical and embarrassing. A large U-Haul truck was parked brazenly in the circular driveway, blocking access for other residents. Piled on the curb was a chaotic mess of cardboard boxes, old blankets tied with rope, worn-out rugs, and most notably, several large, unsealed plastic tubs of what looked like pickled vegetables emitting a pungent odor. My in-laws stood there like generals commanding a battlefield. Carol, dressed in a gaudy floral pantsuit, was barking orders at the movers. Hey, you be careful with that box. That's my antique china. You break it, you buy it. Jessica leaned against a pillar, sipping a bubble tea, making no move to help. When she saw us arrive, Carol immediately started scolding. Finally. What took you so long? I've been trying to use my key fob, but the elevator won't work. We've been standing here waiting forever. Kevin quickly parked the scooter and rushed over to take a heavy bag from his mother. Sorry, Mom. Traffic was bad. Was the drive okay? It was wonderful. I'm bursting with excitement. Now, hurry up. She then pointed at me. Maya, you stand here and watch the stuff. Let the men handle the heavy lifting. I looked at the shabby pile of belongings, and eyes sore against the building's sleek, modern facade. Residents walking by wrinkled their noses in disgust. I felt a wave of secondhand embarrassment. Mom, the building has rules, I said calmly. You have to book the service elevator in advance, and all items need to be properly packed. If those tubs leak in the elevator, we'll get a huge fine. Carol glared. A fine for what? It's my son's home. I'll bring whatever I want. You always make a big deal out of nothing. Those pickles are a taste of home. Now, stop complaining and get out of the way so they can work. Kevin pulled out his key fob and eagerly led the way to the elevators, waving for the movers to follow. This way, gentlemen. My place is on the 40th floor. The corner unit, best view in the building. I stood my ground, my arms crossed, watching them disappear behind the automatic glass doors. I didn't follow. I knew what was waiting for them up there. From a discreet corner of the lobby, I saw David, the building manager, standing with two people in professional attire, wearing official-looking badges. They were a process server and a sheriff's deputy. They gave me a slight nod. I nodded back. The time had come. I took the guest elevator up a few moments later, arriving just as the chaotic procession reached the door of Unit 46. Their belongings were piled up in the hallway, blocking the path. Kevin stood at the door, his hand trembling slightly as he tapped the fob against the lock. Beep. The light flashed red. He tried again. Red? What's wrong with this thing? He muttered, sweat beading on his forehead. It worked fine the other day. What are you doing? It's not that hard to open a door, Carol snapped impatiently from behind him. I think it's jammed, Mom. It's not working, Kevin said, flustered. He tried Jessica's fob red. Jessica pushed him aside. Let me try. Honestly, you're useless. She confidently tapped her own fob. Red. Huh? Mine isn't working either. Maybe they gave us the wrong keys. Carol, losing her patience, shoved them both out of the way. Move. A simple task and neither of you can do it. Let me. She pulled out her master key fob and smacked it against the lock. Red. She tried again, gritting her teeth, her face turning crimson with effort. But the solid wood door remained stubbornly, impenetrably shut. This cheap piece of junk must be broken, she screeched. Kevin, call that manager and get him up here right now. What kind of building sells you a condo with broken locks? Kevin, his face pale, pulled out his phone. Just then, I stepped forward, my voice unnervingly calm. You don't need to call anyone. The lock isn't broken. The whole group turned to look at me. Carol scowled. What are you talking about? If it's not broken, why won't any of our keys work? Because, I said, my voice crisp and clear. I had the lock rekeyed. The hallway fell silent for a few seconds. Kevin stared at me, his mouth agape. You changed the lock when? Why didn't you tell me? Why should I have to tell you? It's my house. I emphasized every word. Carol lunged towards me, her finger jabbing at my face. You dare change the lock to keep your own family out? You insolent girl. What kind of game are you playing? Give me the new key right now. No, I said, looking her straight in the eye without flinching. And I suggest you tell everyone to take this stuff and go home. No one is setting foot inside this apartment today. You wicked, ungrateful brat. Kevin, are you just going to stand there and let your wife disrespect your mother like this? Slap some sense into her. Carol shrieked, losing control. Kevin was caught in the middle, completely bewildered. He looked from his mother to me, not knowing what to do. Maya, what's gotten into you? Why are you causing all this trouble? Just give Mom the key, please. People are watching. Before I could answer, the sound of leather shoes echoed down the hallway. A commanding voice cut through the tension. I'm going to need everyone to please remain calm. All eyes turned towards the elevator. A group of 4 people was approaching. Leading the way was a man in a suit from the sheriff's office holding a thick file. Beside him was a process server with a video camera already recording. They were followed by a uniformed police officer and David, the building manager. Carol froze, her accusing hand slowly lowering. Her bully instincts kicked in. She immediately shrank back at the sight of authority. The sheriff's deputy stopped in front of Unit 406, his eyes sweeping over the crowd and the messy pile of belongings. Who here is Miss Maya Garcia? He asked, his voice echoing in the hall. I stepped forward. I am Maya Garcia, the owner of this unit, he nodded, then addressed the others. And who are all of you? Carol quickly interjected, trying to save face. I'm her mother-in-law. It's a special day. We're moving in. Who are you people to be asking so many questions? The deputy ignored her. He opened his file and read aloud, his voice clear and official. We are from the County Sheriff's Department, Civil Process Division. Pursuant to a petition filed by Miss Maya Garcia and an emergency order issued yesterday by the Circuit Court regarding the application of temporary measures in the divorce proceedings between Miss Maya Garcia and Mr. Signed. Kevin Smith. The court has ordered this property, Unit 406, to be sealed to preserve the asset in its current state until a final judgment is rendered. Every word was like a hammer blow crashing down on my husband's family. Divorce? Kevin stammered, the blood draining from his face. He turned to me, his eyes wide with disbelief. Maya, you filed for divorce when? Why didn't I know? I didn't look at him. My gaze remained fixed on the deputy. That's correct. I filed the petition, and I requested that this property be sealed immediately. When Carol heard the word sealed, she erupted. Sealed? What are you talking about? This is my son's house. I have a right to be here. What law says a mother can't live in her son's home? The police officer stepped forward. Ma'am, you need to remain calm. This is a court order. Any attempt to obstruct an officer of the court or to tamper with the seal will result in criminal charges. I'm asking you and your family to please move all of these items away from the hallway so we can proceed. Carol looked like she was about to charge, but Frank finally grabbed his wife's arm, whispering something that made her stop. Her face contorted with rage, but she didn't move. The process server began documenting the scene. David confirmed my ownership. Then in front of everyone, the deputy placed 2 long strips of official evidence tape across the door and the lock in an X pattern. Finally, he affixed a white document with bold red lettering and the official seal of the court directly over the door seam. The seal was a cold final verdict on their greedy ambitions. The door to their dream of a luxurious life, paid for by me, had been slammed shut not by a lock but by the power of the law. I looked at the seal, a storm of emotions churning inside me. The pain of a broken marriage, but also the fierce satisfaction of having fought for and won justice for myself. I glanced at Kevin. He had slid down the wall and was sitting on the floor, his eyes staring blankly into space. The play was over, but the price of admission had been steep. The air in the hallway was thick with a stunned silence, broken only by the rustling of papers and the soft whir of the video camera. Carol stood breathing heavily, her eyes fixed on the stark white seal as if it were a personal enemy. In a sudden burst of rage, she lunged forward, intending to rip it off. I don't believe it. This is my house. You're all frauds, she screamed, her hands reaching for the door. The police officer moved swiftly, blocking her path. His hand rested on his sidearm, his eyes like steel. I am warning you one last time, ma'am. Destruction of a court seal is a felony punishable by up to 3 years in prison. Do you want to go to the station right now? The word prison was a bucket of ice water, snapping Carol out of her frenzy. She snatched her hand back, retreating with a string of muttered curses, but she made no further move. Jessica, her face pale with fear, tugged on her mother's sleeve, silently pleading with her not to make things worse. Only then did I step forward, positioning myself in front of my husband's family. I looked directly into Carol's eyes, my voice calm but unyielding. You can stop shouting, Mom. The divorce petition has been filed. The court fees have been paid. Everything is legal. This house is now a disputed asset according to the law. No one is allowed to use it until the court has made a final ruling. You want to live here? You'll have to wait for the judge's verdict. Kevin finally scrambled to his feet. He grabbed my arm, his voice cracking with panic. Maya, you're joking, right? Why a divorce? We were happy. Whatever the problem is, we can talk about it at home. Why would you do this? Make a public spectacle and humiliate me. I shook his hand off, my eyes filled with pity. Happy? You call my having to bow and scrape to your family happy? You call me buying a house, but not even being allowed to hold a key happy. Kevin, wake up. The disrespect from your family and your own weakness killed this marriage a long time ago. But Mom just wants what's best for us. You're misunderstanding her, he pleaded, falling back on his tired old excuse. I gave a short, bitter laugh. Misunderstanding? Your mother snatched my keys, gave my rooms away to your sister, and demanded I buy 1,000 furniture. That's a misunderstanding. No, Kevin, that's who she is. And I refuse to live with that for the rest of my life. Hearing this, Carol could no longer contain herself. She pointed at me, unleashing a torrent of abuse. You are a shameless, ungrateful daughter-in-law. We welcomed you into our family, and now you turn around and bite the hand that fed you. You're trying to steal our family's property, aren't you? I knew it. You were just waiting for a chance to take this house for yourself. Steal your property? I laughed out loud, the sound echoing in the hallway. That's rich. This $800,000 condo was paid for with my money and my parents' money. Did your family give me a single dollar? Not one. So, who exactly is trying to steal from whom? You should take a good long look in the mirror. Carol was speechless, her face turning a deep shade of purple. She looked around for an ally. Jessica, do you hear how your sister-in-law is talking? Frank, say something. Are you just going to stand there like a statue? Jessica pouted. Maya, that's not fair. You married Kevin, so your property is marital property. That's the law. Don't think you can just take it all for yourself. Kevin contributed, too. I pulled the file from my bag, holding up the bank statements and the notarized gift letter for them all to see. Contributed. Here, take a look. All the money came from my accounts and my parents' accounts. Kevin didn't contribute a cent. The purchase agreement has only my name on it. And this is a notarized document stating my parents' money was a personal gift to me. Did you really think I was foolish enough to let you just waltz in and reap the rewards of my hard work? Jessica saw the thick stack of documents and fell silent, her eyes darting back and forth. She understood that legally they had no ground to stand on. Kevin stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. Maya, why were you so calculating? Did you plan this all from the start? Didn't you trust me? Trust you? I looked deep into his eyes, my voice filled with a sad finality. I did trust you, Kevin. I hoped you would stand up for me. But what did you do? You silently took the key from your mother's hand. You were silent when she gave our room to Jessica. Your silence forced me to protect myself. When you all divided those 4 key fobs and left me with nothing. You slammed the door to my heart shut forever. Kevin was stunned. He remembered that moment in the lobby. He had said nothing. He had allowed me to be humiliated. Now he was learning the devastating price of that silence. The argument was cut short by the angry voice of the U-Haul crew chief. Hey, are you people done yet? We've been waiting for over an hour. Are we moving this stuff in or not? Carol tried to pull rank. Just be patient for a few more minutes. Patient for what? The apartment is sealed by the cops. How are we supposed to get in? The mover retorted. Here's the deal. Either we drive this stuff back where we got it or we unload it right here in the hallway. The fee is now doubled because of the wait time and the return trip. That'll be $300. Pay up so my guys can get to another job. What? $300? That's robbery. Carol shrieked. Don't you start with me, lady. It's in the contract. You don't pay. We dump everything right here and leave. The burly movers rolled up their sleeves and took a step forward. Carol, terrified, turned to her son. Kevin, pay them. Kevin turned his pockets inside out. I don't have any money. I spent it all on the last month's rent and those bonsai trees. Mom, you pay. I came in a hurry. I don't have any cash on me. She snapped, turning to Jessica. Jess, do you have any money? Spot us. Jessica threw up her hands. It's all in my savings account. The banks are closed today. It's Sunday. How am I supposed to get it? The family looked at each other in a state of total panic. Then all at once, their gazes turned to me. A familiar flicker of hope in their eyes as they looked at their personal ATM. Maya, Kevin began. I held up my hand to stop him. Don't look at me. This move has nothing to do with me. Whoever hired the truck can pay for it. With that, I turned and walked toward the elevator. Maya, where are you going? Kevin called out, his voice desperate. You're just going to leave me like this? I'm going to my parents' house, I said without looking back. And you can deal with the mess your mother created. Goodbye, Kevin. I pressed the button. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. As the metal doors slid shut, they closed on the scene of my husband's family in chaos. Carol cursing at Jessica, Jessica crying and blaming her mother, and Kevin slumping to the floor, holding his head in his hands. It was a scene of total ruin, exactly what they deserved. I took a bus back to my parents' home in Ohio that same afternoon. When I arrived, I saw my dad tending to his garden and my mom shelling peas on the porch. The sight of them made the tears I had been holding back finally stream down my face. I cried like a child, letting out all the pain and frustration I had suppressed for so long. My parents didn't ask many questions. They just held me and comforted me. It's good you're home, honey. Some things you have to let go of. Losing a husband like that is just bad luck, but you're home that you have to keep. A week later, a cold, miserable drizzle was falling. The doorbell rang. My mom went to answer it and came back. "It's Kevin," she said. "He's standing out at the gate. No umbrella. He's soaked to the bone." I looked out the window. Under the yellow glow of the street lamp, Kevin stood shivering in a thin jacket, his face gaunt and unshaven, his eyes sunken and dark. He looked so worn down, I barely recognized the well-dressed man I had married. My father started to go open the gate, but I stopped him. "I'll go." I took an umbrella and went out, but I didn't unlock the gate. We stood on opposite sides of the cold iron bars. "Maya, I'm sorry," he said, his voice. "I was wrong. I've been a wreck these past few days. I miss you so much. Please forgive me. I promise I'll change. We can get our own place. Just the two of us. I won't listen to my mom anymore. Let's start over." I looked at the man who was once my husband. I felt no anger, no love, only a deep sadness for his weakness. "You should go home, Kevin. Don't do this to yourself." "No, I'm not leaving until you forgive me," he cried, gripping the bars, rainwater mixing with the tears on his face. "You say you'll change, but it's not that easy. You've lived under your mother's thumb for 35 years. You can't just break free. Right now, you're hurting, so you'll say anything. But in a few weeks, she'll whisper in your ear, and you'll go right back to being her good little boy. I'm not willing to gamble my life on that again. I swear, Maya, this time is different." Seeing the house sealed up like that, it scared Mom. She promised she won't interfere anymore. I gave a sad smile. "Scared? No, Kevin. Your mother isn't scared of losing her daughter-in-law. She's scared of losing the condo. Let's just keep what little dignity we have left. Let me go so I can live my own life." I turned and walked back inside, leaving him calling my name in the cold, dark rain. I knew it was cruel, but this cruelty was necessary to amputate the diseased limb that had been poisoning my life for far too long. 2 months later, the divorce hearing took place. It was a beautiful, sunny day. I went to the courthouse with my lawyer, Mark. I wore a simple white dress, feeling calm and confident. On the other side of the courtroom, Kevin sat alone. His family hadn't come. Carol was supposedly sick, too embarrassed to face the neighbors. Jessica was on vacation, avoiding the gossip. Kevin looked thin and tired, his eyes avoiding mine. The hearing was quicker than I expected. In the face of the overwhelming financial evidence, the bank statements, the purchase agreement, the notarized gift letter, Kevin had no basis to contest. The judge asked him, "Mr. Smith, do you have any response to the petitioner's claims?" Kevin stood up, his voice quiet but clear. "Your Honor, I agree to the divorce. I acknowledge that the property at 406 Lakeshore Drive is the sole and separate property of Miss Garcia. I made no financial contribution, and I do not contest her ownership." The courtroom was silent. I looked at Kevin and saw in his eyes a weary resignation and a belated remorse. It was perhaps the most honorable thing he had done during our entire marriage. He was letting go to give me back the justice I deserved. The judge's gavel came down. The petition for dissolution of marriage is granted. The court recognizes the condominium as the separate property of Miss Maya Garcia. The order to seal the property is hereby lifted and full ownership and rights of use are returned to Miss Garcia. After the hearing, I walked out of the courthouse and took a deep breath of the free air. Kevin passed by me, pausing for a moment. "I hope you'll be happy, Maya. I'm sorry for everything." "Thank you, Kevin. You take care of yourself too," I replied softly. He walked away, his long shadow stretching across the sun-drenched pavement. I watched him go, feeling no resentment, only a profound sense of relief, as if a massive weight had been lifted from my shoulders. That afternoon, I met a court officer at the condo to have the seal removed. The sound of the tape being ripped from the door was sharp and final. The official notice fluttered to the ground. I put my own key fob to the lock. Click. The light turned green. The door swung open. The apartment was still empty, just as I had left it, but now it was flooded with the warm golden light of the afternoon sun. There were no loud voices, no greedy plans, just me in my own space. I walked out onto the balcony and looked down at the bustling city below. I had lost a marriage and the naive innocence of my youth. But in return, I had learned a vital lesson about self-worth, independence, and the courage to fight for myself. I smiled, a real radiant smile. My life was just